Welcome to another episode of Challenging the Norm. Here's and hers look at life and business with your hosts, Paul Snell and myself, Lindsay Burden. The podcast for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and business owners that want to experience success in their own way. Wrestling with the topics that matter and reality checking the latest trends in business. Paul works with business owners, showing them how they can take the stress out of transforming teams into performance powerhouses that love what they do, while I offer business coaching that empowers ambitious women in business to create financial abundance and a time-rich lifestyle without sacrificing their joy.
Good morning, Lindsay. Time for another episode of our podcast. Can't wait to dig into this one. Just like we say on every episode, we've had a great preamble.
We have.
At least for the last 20 minutes. So looking forward to it. Lindsay, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Paul. Yes, and in our preamble, we were both saying we're a little bit sort of coldy, coughy and sniffly. So apologies in advance for any coughing, sniffling, or any moments when we just disappear for a while. One of us will be here, fear not. Yes. And we do have a really good topic today, don't we, Paul?
We do. Basically, it goes a bit like this. I've got a question that I ask myself, and I've had these conversations with other people, so what happens if social media doesn't work for your business? And I'm using the word work quite broadly here. We're all told how important it is to be on social media, how social media can be the place to generate opportunities and leads, in inverted commas, because we'll talk a bit about that later. And that it'll work for you. You just need to do the right things. You need to be consistent, follow the multitude of courses you can get on this sort of thing, and it will deliver. But what if it doesn't deliver? And that's a big question, because then the follow-on question is, so what else do I do? What else can I do that could give me the opportunity to generate potential, more business, develop any leads that you want to find? What can you do outside of social media? That's sort of where it sits for me, Lindsay, because I've had many conversations in recent weeks where people have said, I've followed everything, Paul. I've done everything. Now, let me caveat something. When someone says I've done everything, it's not always everything. But nonetheless, they're now asking the question, what do I do outside of social media that may give me the opportunity to grow and develop business? That's really where I'm coming from, Lindsay.
It is such a big topic. And of course, you have a love-hate relationship.
Oh, I do.
Media. So for those that are only listening, I have quite a big grin on my face because I'm sort of coming from. It's such a huge topic. I want to unpack a few little bits and pieces for us, okay? Social media, I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but for me, social media can work for some. And I think there are particular businesses that social media works really, really well for. So anything in the leisure and tourism industry, anywhere where you can go to a venue, you can check in on Facebook, you can share a photo, you can give a review, anything like that, any business like that is going to do really well. And they do well at it. And they build their audience really quickly because of those tools, because that's the way that they can use those platforms. So there are businesses that social media works really well for, because I think it's built for that. I think it's built in a way that it is all about connecting with people, but also businesses. And it's a great way of doing it. And actually, you could build a fabulous audience without spending a penny.
Yep.
If you're not one of those businesses, social media generally is really, really challenging to make it work for your business. And there are lots of reasons, including you don't know why you're there, you don't know what you hope to achieve, so you're just giving it a go because everyone's told you you've got to be there. And as long as you're on all the platforms and you're being consistent, everything's going to work out, which isn't quite true, is it, as we know? So I think there is this issue around the right business, it will work for. Yes, there are all the things we know about consistency and everything else, but it can still be really, really challenging. And that's because there's, take business coaching. There's millions of us out there. And unless you started at the very beginning, I think it's going to be really hard. And I use the example when we were talking, if I suddenly went, I need to be on TikTok or TikTok, as I like to refer it to it. I've got to be on TikTok, Paul, and I need to start. I'm starting from zero. And I'm starting from zero in a very busy space
Yeah.
where there are probably already lots and lots of coaches, probably thousands of coaches already doing their thing. And they've been doing their thing for a long time. And now some of them will probably have someone that's doing their thing for them. So that's a challenge for us if we're starting on a new platform. I also think there's so many platforms that, where do you go? So lots of things there to unpack for people and in relation to social media. And, let's face it, you can add in so many, YouTube, social media platform, whether we like it or not, WhatsApp, other channels are available. It's all there. And every time one's seen, what we get our head around one, the algorithm changes. Every time we have, implemented all the learning we've got from this particular course to make us more visible, boom, everything has changed. So I think there are so many aspects to this, which is why it's really challenging and why you're asking the question, really. Well, I think you're asking two questions. Why do we have to be on social media? And then what do we do when it doesn't work? So I think there are two questions there. And I think the why do we need to have to use social media? Because everyone told us it was the holy grail and it was the quickest and easiest way to reach as many people as possible. And I think that's why we all think we have to be there and why I'm still struggling to let some platforms go.
Yeah.
Is what if somebody goes? What if somebody goes to my Facebook page and my Facebook page isn't there? Really struggling. Why haven't 2 years I've been saying it's got to go. It's still there because I can't do it. So I think that's one question you're asking is why, and I've probably answered that because everyone's told us we have to be. So what do we do if it's not working?
Yes.
I think this is more challenging to answer, I think. But it does go back to understanding. It's about having a marketing strategy and making sure that all the pieces of the puzzle are working, because that's one of the things or one of the reasons that social media doesn't work, because we start to look at all the things we do in isolation. I fall foul of this all the time. Like, why haven't I shared the blog that I've written on, LinkedIn, which is where I tend to hang out? Why haven't I told my list that we've got another episode of the podcast? It's really making sure that all the pieces of your puzzle work. But for me, the woman that's trying to get rid of some of her platforms, networking is everything, Paul. And I know I bang on about this all the time, but for me, networking is so powerful. You build that know, like, and trust more quickly, more easily. Online networking is a godsend because now we don't have to get in our cars and we don't even have to leave our office. So, instead of, losing half a day, 90 minutes or 60. And then for me, social media becomes the place I go to build the relationship. So has that helped a little? I know we've not touched it on lead generation, but has that helped a little bit?
It has. I think I'm at a point in this conversation. It's early days because we've got more to go, where I can see how it's not one or the other. It's not a binary choice. I can see how the two can sit comfortably. I can see how you can have other stuff alongside social media. And I think I said this before we jumped on. I can see, I can't remember if I read it or someone told me that it's a great opportunity to have this networking structure, this networking event, this networking style, and then using things like LinkedIn, because it's where I hang out most, as a way of almost validating, almost looking a bit deeper into that person and excuse me, from a business perspective. So I can see a role. I can see a role for social media. For me, I can see how things like If I want to know a bit more about Lindsay, I can pop onto LinkedIn and connect, and then all of a sudden, all of your posts and stuff, and I can read it all. So I can dig deeper, probably quicker and more convenient than it would be. Lindsay, can we spend an hour on a phone call just to hear all about your life or your business life, right?
My life. You hear about that on a regular basis. Why would
Well,
you call me?
so I can see a purpose. I can see a reason. I can see it's non-binary, right? I think there's a caveat or there's a warning in here for me.